how do I get people to listen to and then, of course, remember my talk if I am the last one to speak at the conference, or if there have been already 10 speakers speaking before me and people are already super tired and they kind of just are getting ready for lunchtime, basically. I got this question in my DMs on LinkedIn and I found it super funny because we all experience that, right? You are at the conference and then you try to pay attention in the first talk, the second talk in the morning then there is this coffee break, right? And there afterwards you try with the third or fourth talk, but after that you are already like, okay, I am ready to go home. I cannot listen to these talks anymore. And let's face it, the majority of them are objectively impossible to understand, to say it nicely, because people are talking as if they were talking to themselves, like explaining their work as if all of us had the perfect context of everything they've been doing in the last year, and now they're just giving us an update. So how can we avoid this, like being that speaker, and actually make sure that people listen to us, even if we are the last talk in the schedule? So I want to first address what is it that people typically do and why it doesn't work. So as I said, typically, and this is at least my experience and the experience from many colleagues of mine from the conferences and meetings in general, people explain their work as if they were talking to themselves. And this is something that I believe is rooted in the fact that us as STEM professionals we are not trained in explaining our work and making our work accessible to others. We are trained in what I like to call cause and consequence mindset, which is this if-then. Like, if I do this, then this happens. We are not really trained to explain and expose the impact of the work that we are doing. We are more trained to do like once you do this other thing happens. So we struggle with it, and it makes sense that when we are talking to others, we sort of imagine or believe that everyone knows what we know, simply because we were not trained to take a step back and really observe the context, observe the environment, and provide those people something that they need instead of giving them what we think we want to talk about in a conference talk. So the actual solution is to make sure that people listen to you, is to basically talk about what they care about. Because let's face it, you really rarely have the chance to really spark interest in people or motivate them enough to listen to you for long enough in order to make them interested in what you're doing. So the easiest solution is to actually find a way to make sure that your work fits what already interests them. So for example, at the conference, this is quite, I would say, straightforward, because conferences are often topic related. For example, if you are doing, the annual biophysical meeting, then you know that those people are interested in biophysics. So even if you're a biophysicist, and it's my case, you have to make sure that you connect to something that is maybe a hot topic now in biophysics or in engineering, in developer, or whatever it is that you're doing, programming, so on. So to make sure that people want to listen about something they already care about. That way you do not have to, it's sort of reverse engineering, right, of the entire process, because you do not have to think about, okay, I want to talk about this, but how do I motivate them to listen to this? How do I provide enough context? You actually don't do that. You align what you do with something that you know it's already interesting for them. And that's actually a great skill to have, because nowadays, especially if you're applying for funding or pitching for a promotion or pitching your project, basically, all people care about is the impact. Like, okay, you did this, but how do I make money out of it? You did this, but how is it useful for me? You did this, but how can I save time by using it, and so on. So those are the things people are listening and actually interested in. So we have to make sure we find a way to align what we are doing, our expertise and our work, with what they already care about, and that way ensure that they are actually listening to us when we are talking. Of course, this sounds a little bit abstract the first time you hear it, because you're like, okay, but I am working on this, I have to talk about that. Yes, absolutely. But it is your actual responsibility to find a way to talk about those things in a way others can understand it. And your best bet by far is to find out what those people care about and connect your work to what they already know something about and care about. Of course, as I said, this is a skill. It requires practice, but once you achieve it, you are going to be able to explain your work much faster, to prepare your presentation much faster, without the stress of having to stare at a blank screen and say, okay, where do I even start? Because you are going to know who you are talking to. You are going to start thinking about your audience before you even start designing your slide. And then the slide design and the presentation design is sort of going to come naturally to you, because you are going to design it with your audience in mind, with their interest in mind, and with the alignment of your work and your impact to what matters to them. This is exactly what I teach STEM professionals how to do in my coaching program. So if you're interested in really saving time when you're explaining your work, stop stressing about every work presentation. Stop stressing about every time you have to explain your work, to give a briefing, to talk to your team and so on. I invite you to join my coaching program, and of course I am going to leave a link down below where you can schedule a completely free discovery call with me, where we can discuss those exact topics, like your struggles, your challenges, what are your current doubts and challenges that you're facing in your STEM career when it comes to communication, and see if we are, of course, a good fit to work together. I hope you found this video useful, that you will extract some interesting stuff from here. I know that the idea of talking about something that already interests your audience is a little bit strange and abstract the first time you hear it, but I promise it will save you so much time if you master the skill. Thank you so much again, and see you in a few days in another video. Bye bye.